Justice is one of the pillars of morality, and philosophers like David Hume acknowledge it as the basis of all morality. It is the main subject discussed in Batman movies and also certain other great movies. Justice is an important puzzle for philosophers, as well as sociologists and thinkers of political sciences. Socialism and liberalism have many conflicts about this problem. While it is very painful to experience every form of injustice, but in some contexts, its painfulness is at extreme. If the person himself regards justice, it is very, very painful to observe and see injustice in society or be treated with him or her unjustly. This might happen in one of the three forms. First form happens when a powerful person, even though regards justice, becomes a victim of injustice. The second form happens when the weak person who in some way regards justice becomes a victim of injustice. Finally, the last form, and in my opinion, the cruelest one, happens when the person becomes a victim of injustice from an early age without having a chance to regard or disregard justice. Batman is an example of the first form, and the Riddler is an example of the third form. This third form creates the most painful feeling of injustice. Because of such complications, justice became a puzzle for Batman. But the synthesis of weakness and suffering of being a victim of injustice creates a very strong feeling of revenge. Smart people come up with an important question. Why have I been a victim of injustice? Or as Riddler says, why us? Batman outstands some other questions concerning justice. What is justice exactly? Or is it possible to realize justice? At first glance, it may seem the movie does not address this issue. But can you remember certain scenes which show us that the movie actually addresses this issue? Some might recall such scenes. No more lies. I'm nobody. I'm just an instrument here to unmask the truth about this cesspool. If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye? So, the first step to realize justice is to tell the truth. What is it really so? It seems that this is a superficial conception of justice. When we analyze the question, what is justice? We come to the conclusion that we cannot have a clear picture of it. We truly don't know what justice is. This makes us confused to answer troublesome questions such as, is it possible to realize justice? However, Riddler doesn't stop here, as he later says, but masking is not enough. He declares that the next element is punishment and having a day of judgment. In Riddler's eyes, justice has a third psychological element, the manifestation of the victim. When Batman tells in all his fury to Riddler that he won't be seen and be forgotten, Riddler gets a mental breakdown. The Batman himself doesn't say anything about the essence of justice because he is supposed to be omniscient. Thus, by intuition, he knows where injustice occurs and takes an action. The Batman acknowledges, at least partially, Riddler's definition of justice through the puzzle he brings up. It can be cruel, poetic, or blind, but when it is denied, it is violence. The interesting point is that both Riddler and Batman endorse the inevitable violence of justice, and both of them are violent in their actions. Of course, there are scenes that show the Batman himself questions the essence of justice. For example, where he asked Falcone about his father and argues with Alfred whether or not his father was a good person. However, what kind of system is efficient? It seems that it is the political system's obligation to realize justice. But the movie tries not to be critical about the entirety of the political system. And no matter how much the situation is tragic, they are not trying to hold the entirety of the political system accountable for it. They only use small hints in quotes like it is the whole system or he worked for him. Everybody does. But the movie more or less shows the incompetence of political systems to realize justice. Plato was among the first philosophers who talked about a desirable political system to realize justice. All the tragedies shown in Batman movie have happened in liberal democracy, which was supposed to be the most competent political system. This goes to show that a villain, provided smart enough, can and will act with ill intention in liberal democracy. The alternative political systems are not much better in realizing justice, and so-called socialist or Marxist countries haven't succeeded in realizing justice. The question of utmost importance is whether mankind, at its essence, is to be considered evil or good. Are people like Falcone and Riddler victims, or are evil in their essence? The movie seems to be learning toward the view that Falcone is evil, but the Riddler is only a victim of a series of unfortunate events. But can we really make such a distinction? When some kind of a crisis occurs, morality is among the first that will be collapsed, and the movie clearly shows this when Falcone talks about Thomas Wayne. I know you thought your father was a Boy Scout, but you'd be surprised what even a good man like him is capable of in the right situation. And the movie can't support the idea that what is the reason behind being a moral person, while corruption is dominant and successful. Another aspect of the justice in the movie is Batman's disappointment, or at least his doubts in realizing justice, where Bruce says, "The city is eating itself. Maybe it's beyond saving." Or he says, "I'm starting to see now. I have had an effect here, but not the one I intend." Selina has also played an important role in increasing Batman's doubts, like when she says, You know this place is never gonna change, even though Batman struggles to realize justice, and by the end of the movie emphasizes on having hope for realizing justice, but he still has doubts in his hopes. This leads us to ask another important question. When everyday world gets darker and more twisted than ever, should we still have hope to realize justice? In contrast to previous movies about this character, the title of this movie is The Batman, which means there is a focus about his human and personal aspects. Disappointment is very clear in this version of Batman. Even by design, he gives hope to others. But is hope always good? Freud has taught us otherwise. Some hopes cause the destruction of society or the person, especially those who never are delivered.
With this said, our analysis of the movie The Batman is concluded. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any suggestions or opinion, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we will be posting weekly video analysis of the popular movies.